Hi there! The BBC Ghosts Christmas special just came out where I live. Yay! So in celebration, I'm going to be doing a little video on how all of the ghosts died. Just a little rundown on the ones we know, some theories for the ones we don't. So, in this universe, when you die, there are two options. Option one, you get sucked off. Option two, you stay. And if you stay, you look as you did at the exact moment that you died. That's important. So clothes, injuries, your state of being to the second. Now, I was initially a bit uncertain on what order to do them in. I started trying to make an order and I realized that favoritism was rearing its ugly mug. So we're going to be doing these bitches chronologically. Which means, first up, Robin. Now, Robin is 1 to 1.5 million years old, and we don't know how he died. Cause of death, unknown. Couple of theories are that for Robin, the main theory is that he was struck by lightning, which in turn is responsible for his ability to manipulate electricity. And another theory is that he died out on a bear hunt, seeming with his obsession with hunting bears, although that may just be a carryover from the fact that bears would have been a very reasonable and healthy source of, food, life, fuel, etc. Robin doesn't have any sort of physical indicators that he was electrocuted or bear mauled, so either way, it's pretty open-ended for him. Second up, the most forgotten ghost, Humphrey. Humphrey was beheaded. We know this because his head is off. We don't know why he was beheaded, but considering he's from Tudor times, he probably just looked the wrong way at the relevant monarch and got the chop. They were very choppy, those Tudors. Next up, the second most forgotten ghost, Mary. I don't know why I'm saying that. There's like 9 of them. We always forget some. Mary was burned at the stake. Now, I've seen a couple of places people saying that Mary looks the way she does, so mostly, fully formed, no excessive burns, because it is a program not necessarily aimed at children, but it was originally a pre-Watershed posting, so they couldn't have anything too graphic. But my personal theory with Mary was she didn't actually burn to death. She was partially burned, quite charred, but she actually died of smoke inhalation and shock. So maybe it was a combination of suffocation and maybe a heart attack, which is why she looks the way she does. She's charred, she's a bit burnt up, but she's not actually we can't see any sort of 3rd degree burns. We can't see any of the sort of really sort of severe damage. And that's my explanation for that. The other explanation is, you can't have a manky corpse as one of the ghosts. That would just be horrifying, but that's the way I see it. Now, after Mary come the plague ghosts. Now, we don't exactly know when they died, but the official wiki says Middle Ages / Regency. So I'm going to put them after Mary and before Thomas. So that's pretty much where they fit. The plague ghosts, they died from the plague. It's in the name. It's pretty much the whole thing. I mean, I don't know. It was Mick's fault, and poor Mick. That's pretty much it. Now, there are 2 explanations for how Thomas died. The first explanation is that he was shot with a musket ball as a part of an extended scheme by his cousin Francis Button in an attempt to marry Lady Isabel Hyme and inherit her house and wealth. That's the accurate explanation. The fun explanation is Thomas was in love with Mary Shelley, mother of Goth. Either works. After Thomas comes Kitty. Again, we don't know how Kitty died. Majority of theories include, hypothermia, starvation, pretty much something related to her sister, whose crimes so far include forcing her to stay outside, making her befriend a statue, stealing her Christmas presents. Yeah. We don't know much about Kitty's sister, but we do know she wasn't nice. So the main theories are Kitty either starved or froze on an extended game of hide and seek, although some people have suggested that she was actually poisoned. Their explanation for this being the scene where she threw up out of excitement at Sam and Claire's wedding. I'm not entirely sure how strong this is for evidence, but it would be an interesting thing to see how the ghost's sort of physical reactions or physiological reactions were in association with their bodies, how they died. Because we do know that when it comes up, Thomas's bullet wound bleeds and Mary smokes, smokes a little bit when the topic comes up. So theoretically, if Kitty was poisoned, and while poison wasn't mentioned, there was a certain level of excitement and sort of physiological reaction, that vomiting as a response would be quite interesting to look into. After Kitty comes Fanny. Fanny fell out of a window. Yeah. She was pushed out of a window by her husband, George. And this, again, like Mary, is where I bring in the fact that the ghosts look as they did the second that they died. Because a couple of people have brought up that when Alison fell from a similar height, she was, she had, her neck was difficult movement. She had very heavy bruising and cuts, whereas Fanny doesn't. But when she died, her flesh wouldn't have bruised. There wouldn't be any sort of cutting would have come through later. And there is actually a theory, scientifically, that if you fall from a great height, you don't actually die from collision. Your heart stops while you're falling. So then that would carry on that Fanny has no sort of physical damage from falling, is because she was already dead when she hit the ground. Fun. Next up, the captain. Now, I probably should have done this at the beginning, but yeah. Trigger warning. Yeah, I definitely should have done that at the beginning. Just, I guess, trigger warning for being gay in the 1940s. Most theories about the captain, again, we don't know how he died, and he doesn't have any sort of physical injury. We do know that he died after the war had ended because of his medals, include medals and ribbons that weren't awarded until post-war end, which again begs the question, why was he in full dress uniform? Why was he at Button House? Although he could have been a part of a cleanup project to, dismantle a part of the extended war machine, maybe remove the remnants of Project William. It could have been a part of a celebration, as he was one of the senior officers stationed there. Not quite sure. We'll probably find out in season 3, or fingers crossed that we get it season 4. Most theories about the captain either involve murder or suicide. Suicide, I feel, is somewhat self-explanatory, with the war over and Lieutenant Havers presumably dead. There isn't really much that we see that he could have invested himself in personally, and we don't really know. He may have had some form of, you know, extended biological family, he may not have, but from what we see, but yeah, it's been what, 80 years since he died, at least, and he's still very, very much invested in the war. And we see that to some extent with all the ghosts. They're still most familiar with their own personal period or era. But at this point with the captain, we don't even know his name. His identity is so sort of embroiled in the war that there doesn't seem to be some sort of extended persona outside of that. So him killing himself in uniform does seem to be, well, in keeping to some extent. It doesn't seem to be entirely in keeping with his idea of fighting the good fight and going out all guns blazing, but it is definitely an option if he was genuinely depressed. The other option for the captain is murder. Murder. Woo! Why do I want my favourite character to be murdered? I don't know, I'm weird. So, with murder, murder is a favourite because, as we all know, well, most of us know, his ribbons, his medal tag is actually on upside down, and most fans consider it quite unlikely that he would have intentionally placed said, I don't know what you call this. I keep calling it we placed his medal pin thing upside down. That doesn't seem to be very in keeping with his sort of regimented physical appearance and presentation of himself. So the idea that it was put on him by his killer is quite a compelling concept. Who knows? I really hope we get an episode with him in season 3. Well, an episode where we find out a bit more about how he died. Sad gay army boys. Gotta love him. Gotta love him. Now, after the captain comes Pat. Pat was shot through the neck by an 8-year-old. I'm not quite sure how old he was, but it was a kid called Keith Darren Dean. We know his name because Kitty says it. Yeah. After Pat came Julian. Julian died with his pants down. Wait. Oh, that's actually quite interesting. I wonder if Julian had died, like, with his trousers literally around his ankles. If, as a ghost, he would have been able to, you know, pull them up. Or if he would have been forced to, as a ghost, just eternally do that little shuffle you have to do where your trousers are around your ankles, but they're not quite off. And you have to do the little sort of penguin waddle shuffle and you have to either pull them up or kick them off. That's actually quite interesting. Well, I guess ghosts aren't frozen in the state they are. We know that Captain can, you know, transfer his swagger stick around. And, of course, well, Humphrey's head is independent, as it were. Huh. That's quite interesting. We do know now as well that Julian died at Christmas, which, I mean, that's fun, I guess. And that's all the ghosts. Just kidding. We have one more official death. Allison. Bet you forgot about that one. No, while she is not a ghost, Alison did officially die. So, she was pushed out of a window by Julian. Yeah, again, we know what happened. It wasn't that dramatic. I just wanted to. She was pushed out of window by Julian in, I assume, an attempt to get her to leave. But, I don't think it quite would have, because I'm not sure. Presumably Mike would have sold the property, but I'm almost certain Alison would have continued haunting, because that's another theory that is running through, which is another reason I'm uncertain on whether or not the captain actually did commit suicide. Is a very on-running theory is that the reason that all of these ghosts have stayed around is because they either died violently or died in response to the actions of another. So a suicide or a natural death like Lady Heather would automatically just result in someone being sucked off straight away. And then presumably once you've ghosted around for a while like Annie, you get sucked off as well. Maybe once you've done your business? I'm not sure. I'm actually kind of curious about that. Because, if you had any unfinished business, and assuming that most of the older ghosts would have gone now. Huh. Oh well. Who cares? That's up for the Idiot Six to decide, not me. Anyway. So, my name's Eleanor. Thank you for watching my video. And, if you have any theories, put them down in the comments. And I'll see you next time.